Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SAS Viya Release Highlight Show. I'm Tiago de Souza, and today we'll be talking about what's new in SAS Viya. We'll start off with the rundown presented by Alexi Vaudilan, Kumar Thangamuthu, and Diana Maris. Alexi will give us an update on a few new features in SAS Studio, including several new steps. Next, Kumar will tell us about managing semantic types and customizing information privacy in SAS information governance. Lastly, Diana will walk us through A/B test nodes in SAS intelligent decisioning. Next up, we have David Vikes into the SAS Viyaverse segment, where David will show us some of his favorite new features, including the Developer API in SAS Information Governance, text topics in SAS Visual Analytics, and 3 new Model Studio features. Finally, in our Release Talk segment, Cameron Massey will talk to Ali Deloney and Sophia Rowland about the new model cards, which are kind of like nutrition labels, but for your AI models. Here at the SAS Viya Release Highlight Show, we try to provide you with an overview of all the most important things that you need to know in SAS Viya. A model card is doing the same thing by giving you an easy-to-understand overview of what's going on with your model. But now it's time to dive into the SAS Viyaverse with David. David, over to you.
Hello and welcome back. Let's take a look at what's new with SAS Viya. We are starting things off inside of SAS Information Catalog, to be specific, inside of the glossary of it. Here is nothing new in that sense, but what has been made available is the API point behind it so that you can work with the glossary part of SAS Information Catalog in a programmatic way as well. Here it is. This is developer.sas.com. Here you can find a lot of examples, documentation around all the APIs that are available, open source integrations, and much, much more. For us, we want to take a look at what is new with the glossary API. So for that, we are going to go in the API section, and then we are just going to scroll through here until we find our glossary API. In here, we find ways to programmatically interact with both term types and, if we go down, with terms. Here we are inside of SAS Visual Analytics, where I want to take a look at what's new with the text topic object in Visual Analytics. You can find this object by just filtering through it and selecting under the Analytics category the text topic model. In here, we have two new things. First is this header line up here that when you are in the editing mode of the report, you can actually go in and change how the text topics are derived from here. So for example, you can change the maximum topics or you can change the language. When we then move to the right-hand side to the options, scrolling down reveals we have some additional capabilities in here under the model display. This changes what you see on screen. So for example, we can change what visuals are displayed. Let's move from SAS Visual Analytics to SAS Model Studio, where we have 3 new features to take a look at. The first one is in the data exploration node, where when we right-click it and go to results, or if we create a PDF report, it's also of course available there. Scrolling down, we find the new target by input correlations graph, and the Pearson correlations and input correlations heat maps. Moving to the SVMs node, we have additional features in the auto-tuning category, where we can now select, for example, the kernel or change the RBF parameters and the sigmoid parameters here. So this enhances your control over the auto-tuning behavior behind the scenes. In addition, the segment profile node, which can be found in the miscellaneous category, along with the data exploration node, can now also be added under the decision tree node, not just the clustering node as before. And then again, right-clicking it or creating the PDF report gives you access to its output to help you understand the result from your decision tree better and in a more visual way. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new, found some new capability you are interested in, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, David. He showed off a lot of new features. Which was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below.
Hello everyone! Welcome to SAS Studio release update for 2024-06 stable release. My name is Alexey, I'm product manager for SAS Studio, so let's get started. In this release, we introduce 10 new steps for SAS Studio Analyst. In today's demo, we're going to take a look at summary tables step that allows you to build very flexible and powerful summary tables with a variety of descriptive statistics. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of these functionalities. In the first part of our demo, we will take a look at summary tables step. Summary tables step is available in SAS Steps pane in SAS Studio. Summary tables tab belongs to statistics category, so you can find it here down below. Now, once we have selected analysis and classification variables, we can proceed with the main configuration of the step on summary tables tab. So I'm going to expand this a little bit, and now let's take a closer look at summary tables. In this tab, we have a few different dialogues or menus. So we have variables, statistics, and columns and rows that we can use for grouping the information in our summary table. Typically, you would select all of your variables that you have in the variables dialog and put them into either columns or rows groups. In this case, so when you want to do this, for example, when you want to add a specific variable into one of these categories, then you would typically select a hierarchy where you want to add this. I've already configured the logic that I want to have a couple of hierarchies. I want to see origin broken down by type information and also origin, but in a slice of cylinders of different colors. And then for analysis variables, MSRP and horsepower, I want to calculate a few different statistics that are available for me. Specifically, if we take a look at MSRP, I've added such information like average price of a car, maximum, minimum price, and an attribute which allows us to add information about total number of rows that we have in a specific hierarchy. Now you can just run the step with this configuration and the summary table will be created for you. So let's take a look what we've got here. So MSRP and horsepower, our analysis variables, are being put into rows as we've wanted. And for each of these attributes, for each of these analysis variables, we can see descriptive statistics, average, maximum, minimum, and total number of rows. So this is two-level hierarchy that we've built with summary tables. And also, as we've configured, we have a second hierarchy in here. So we also have origin as in the first one, but in this case, we add information also about number of cylinders. And as you can see, there are no missing values in here. So as we've configured in the advanced properties of cylinders classification variable. And for the next functionality, what I wanted to show you is that copy path option is now available on different types of objects in SAS Studio. In particular, we can copy path of a flow that we've just been using in our demo. This is a new option, which is called copy path. And when you click this, a full path to this object is being copied into your clipboard. Now, if I go ahead and create a text file, I can just paste this path into this text file, or you obviously can add this into any other third-party application that you would like to use. This functionality is available for flows, SAS programs. You can also have copy path here. It is available for folders as well. So almost all objects in SAS Studio now got this option, so you can now utilize this as well.
Welcome to the April release of SAS Information Governance. The classification, which is basically a way to bring all the semantic types that are right now being pulled as part of QKB are displayed here for users to list and see all the list and see all the semantic types that are being used to classify data. And you can also see it's ordered, or the field content is kind of separated into specific countries. So it's easy for our users to know, as the data being classified, what those countries are. And another a big part of this classification component, one of the features is the ability for users to change information privacy. By default, some of the semantic type will have privacy sensitive based on some GDPR standards. User can go and change specific to the organization. Now I'm opening a table. I'm going to look at an analyzed table. I can see the field content being used to classify the data, and it's specifically what country the data set belongs to.
Hi everyone, here with an update on the 2024.07 stable release. I am Diana Maris, a product manager at SAS, and today I want to show you how to use A/B test nodes in SAS Intelligent Decisioning. With A/B test nodes, we'll be able to randomly and automatically divide target audiences into groups so that we can experiment with their responses to different changes in our strategies or offers. Intelligent Decisioning now has a dedicated decision flow node for defining champion-challenger and challenger-challenger tests. In this node, the larger group designated as champion is considered to be taking the standard or existing path. Then the challenger paths will define a slight change in parameters from that standard path and will be sent to a smaller subset of the target audience. We can also define challenger-challenger scenarios where all the subgroups will be treated equally. Let's take the scenario of an insurance company where we can experiment with changes to our standard insurance package that would impact the customer base and the average policy size. Each of our champion and challenger paths can be a combination of elements that lead to a decision or offer. In our existing production strategy, let's assume that we have 3 term life insurance products with discounts. Then the challengers will be the same as the standard, but also add either a restaurant gift card or an additional offer for financial planning resources. Now we have defined the 3 paths, the champion and the 2 challengers. In order to track what offers each customer is presented with, I highly recommend that you add a record contact node to conclude each path. You can also define a path key that ensures each subject, for example, each customer ID, would take the same path through the A/B test node every time they are part of the target audience. Now we can also define a scoring test to validate the paths that the customers are taking through the decision flow. This is how you can experiment and explore the impact of decision strategy changes on your KPIs with A/B test node in SAS Intelligent Decisioning.
Joining us now is Cameron Massey. Cameron, what do you have for us today?
Hey, Tiago, did you know there's a new way to stay healthy at work?
Oh yeah, like taking stretch breaks and putting a walking pad in your office type of thing?
Well, walking pads can move to the back of the room because there's a new way to stay on top of being healthy at work. Tracking the health of your models, of course.
Of your models, of course. It's time for today's Release Talk.
Joining me today is Ali Deloney and Sophia Rowland to tell us more about model cards. Thank you both and welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
Ali, I'll start with you. What's a model card, and can you tell us what that is and why someone would use it?
Yeah, of course. So I don't know if you've noticed, but anytime that you turn on the news, there's at least one headline about AI. It's sort of all the rage right now. And it makes sense because every day it seems like more and more AI systems are being used to make decisions about all of us. And I don't know about you, but for me, if an AI system is being used to make decisions about me, I would want to know a little bit about it. And that's really the idea of model cards. They are essentially a nutrition label for your model. They give you the information that you need to know in a simple and easy to understand way. They tell you the health of your model. They tell you the performance of your model, how fair the model is. And they also tell you any potential ethical considerations as well. Now, we're not the first ones to think about this. Back in 2018, Google actually thought of model cards and had a paper that was published back then. And others have, taken a shot at creating their own model card as well. But the data ethics practice thought it was about time for SAS to take our own crack at the model card.
Model cards sound extremely helpful to modelers. I love the nutrition label metaphor. What trustworthy AI insights are being provided in the model card?
We have a number of principles that guide our practice, one of which is transparency, and the model card is all about transparency. One of the things that we offer in the model card is we show the variables that are most important. And this becomes really important because this helps users to understand what are the variables in the model that are actually driving the decision that the model is making. We also have model monitoring that's included as well. And this becomes really important because the moment that you put a model into production is going to immediately start to degrade over time, unfortunately. So this lets us see how it's performing over time from an accuracy perspective, from a fairness perspective, so that we know when it's time to either retrain that model or to retire that model. We also have information about fairness in the model card. We have an area that will tell you if you're including variables in the model that could potentially introduce unacceptable bias. Oftentimes what will happen is when a model does cause harm, it's because a variable such as gender or race or age is included unintentionally or intentionally, and that can sometimes cause quite a bit of harm. We also have a fairness assessment area as well, and that helps a user to do a little bit of digging to see if their model is performing worse in certain subgroups. The last thing that I'll mention is there's an area called model usage in the model card, and this is where a user would document ethical limitations of the model. And this is also where they would describe how the model really should be used and how the model should not be used. And if there are any use cases where the model developer happens to know it will not perform well, so that again, we can promote the responsible use of the models that are created. And I will say that at the end of the day, if you're creating model cards for your models, you're encouraging transparency, and that in and of itself is something that will absolutely promote the use and creation of trustworthy AI at your organization.
So, model cards have been around since 2018. Why did SAS create a model card now, and what sets SAS model cards apart from other model cards in the industry?
Since 2018, there have been a number of organizations that have created their own model cards in the way that they think makes most sense. Now, the problem with these model cards, though, is they are quite boring, and they're very, very text heavy and very hard to understand, which honestly, this makes sense because they were designed originally for data scientists and developers who tend to be people that want to write down their documentation and they want to be robust, and all of that makes sense. But that also then means that the model card is really designed for them and nobody else. Imagine going to the pharmacy and picking up a prescription, and you get the little bag and you take out the information packet and you open it up. Sure, like everything that you need for that medication is on that information pamphlet, but there's so much information that it's hard to know what is most important and what you actually need to care about. And that's really what ends up being the case with some of these other model cards that we see in the industry today. At the end of the day, we are responsible for the AI systems that we create. And what that means is all of us need to be able to understand model cards. That means our managers and executives at our organizations, they need to be able to understand AI systems as well, even if it is just at a high level. Because of that, that's a really big reason that we made understandability and simplicity a very, very high priority when we designed the model card. Not to mention, some of our competitors, the amount of time and effort it takes for a data scientist to gather up all the information that they need to create the model card is it's ridiculous, if I'm being honest. And we're already asking data scientists to do way too much. We shouldn't be asking them to do anything else. So that is another great benefit of the SAS Viya card, is that the SAS Viya model card is that you can register a model, and upon model registration, the model card will be created automatically for you. So don't worry, data scientists, you can breathe a sigh of relief. Whew. So to succinctly answer your question, Cameron, I would say there are sort of two things that really set apart our model card, which is that they are easy to create and that they are easy to understand.
Thanks, Allie. So, Sophia, what are you going to show us today?
For this demo, let's walk through each piece of the model card.
Let's take a look.
Right now, we are in the model card in SAS Model Manager. My teammate has developed a model in SAS Model Studio to predict the likelihood of hospital admissions. When I open the model card, the first thing I see is the overview, which provides a lot of great information about the health of my model, including the most influential variables, as well as the model accuracy, generalizability, and fairness. This provides an at-a-glance view of my model and helps direct me to the areas that need my attention.
It looks like the model is failing on fairness. What's causing that failure?
Good catch. Let's find out. I'm going to move to the model summary, where I can find the metrics about my model's performance and fairness during training. Here, I can see if the model is predicting differently for values of our sensitive variables, which here are race and gender, or if it's more accurate on one group over another. And it does look like our model is performing worse on individuals of color, which is not something we would like to see in our production models.
I also see a tag for synthetic data. Where did this data come from?
You're right, this data is tagged as synthetic. I can scroll up to our data summary to learn more about the data, including the description, the information privacy classifications, and a bit more about the source of the data. Understanding the data is helpful for understanding how my model should be used, but the model usage section spells out for me in clear text, so I know the intended use case, the expected benefits, the out-of-scope use cases, and limitations.
So, Sophia, we've seen a lot of information about the model's health during training, but what about over time?
One of the advantages of SAS Model Manager is the ability to monitor the performance of a model. This allows us to quickly find and react to model decay. Back here in the overview, I can switch here to performance monitoring and see the state of my model using the latest data, and we can see areas that do need some attention.
Okay, so what do you do next when there is a failure in performance monitoring?
Great question. We have a few options. I can dive deeper into these failures by opening our Model Audit tab and seeing the metrics we are using to evaluate our model over time, our model's performance on those metrics, as well as our thresholds for action. And since this is hooked into performance monitoring in SAS Model Manager, I can dive even deeper into these metrics via the performance monitoring report and decide to retrain, replace, or even retire my model. This way, I ensure that my production model is the best one for my use case, so we can make the right choice using analytics.
I love that anyone can get insights from this model card. I'm not a data scientist, but I surely learned a lot from that demo. Thank you so much, Sophia.
You're more than welcome.
So, Allie, how can someone get started using this model card, and where can they learn more?
Yeah, so as long as you have Model Manager and you have the most recent July release, then you can get access to model cards right within Model Manager. And to learn more about model cards, I highly recommend Sophia's fantastic blog post on SAS communities, where she talks about how to actually create a model card. So I highly recommend checking that out. Also, if you want to learn more about what SAS is doing in the area of trustworthy AI, I also recommend that you go to sas.com/trustworthyai.
I'll definitely check those out. Ali, Sophia, thank you for teaching us about model cards. Tiago, back to you.
Thank you, Cameron. In our last episode, we learned about the new SAS Viya Workbench. Well, good news, SAS Viya Workbench is now available. As a reminder, SAS Viya Workbench is a self-service, on-demand compute environment for analytical development, including building AI and machine learning models for better data analysis. You can build AI models from scratch and streamline work by pulling in existing Python or SAS projects with minimal to no code modification needed. To learn more about SAS Viya Workbench, go to sas.com/workbench. Also, registration for the 2024 SAS Hackathon will soon be closing. We want to make sure you don't miss out on participating. The SAS Hackathon will take place over a 1-month period later this year. Teams will collaborate to come up with innovative solutions to real-world problems while using SAS Viya and open source. You can form your own team or join a team. Registration for the SAS Hackathon is now open through August 30th. That means that there are only 10 days left. To learn more and to register, go to sas.com/hackathon. Well, Cameron, we've reached the end of our show.
If you're watching this on YouTube, why not give us a like and subscribe to the SAS Users YouTube channel and click that bell so you'll get notified for new videos and when we go live for our next show in October. Until then, comment on what topics you'd like to see in future shows.
I've been your host, Tiago de Souza. Keep your models healthy, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.